You know, while I was in the so-called truth for these 32 years, I've seen a lot of things that the elders did not know, and a lot of people inside the hall did not know, like publishers and pioneers. They didn't know what was going on, but I've seen it all. There was one fellow that used to brag about all the time he went out, see, and he would never go out with us. He would always say he had a Bible study to go to and that the person was handicapped and he only wanted one person to be there with him. And that's the way it always was. It was never him out with the friends. He always had to be by himself. And it took me a little time to figure this thing out, but I found out what he was doing. Say, he was getting like in 90 hours a month, but yet, you never saw him out in the service or nothing like that, but he had 90 hours. See? Now, I found out how he did it. I found out, but I don't know what they ever did anything about it because I was getting a little fed up with the whole thing about that time. But what this fellow would do now, he would leave his house at like, 8 in the morning because he wanted to go to the Kingdom Hall and meet with the friends before they all went out. Now, he would go there. But before he got there, he would stop in the Walmart parking lot. Okay? He would, this is say 8 o'clock. He would put some literature on the cars and then he would shoot over to McDonald's. His clock is running now, so he done got his clock running. Well, he goes to McDonald's about 8:15, 8:20, and then he stays there and he eats McMuffins and coffee and things like that. He knows they meet at 9 o'clock at the hall. He knows that. So he kills what few minutes he had. But now he gets to the hall around 9:05, and they have their little routine they go through, as you all know, and they break up to who's going where, who ain't going where, or whatever. See. In the meantime, his clock is still running. See. Now, when they split up, then he would always tell the person in charge that he has a Bible study to go on, and that he would be leaving for that. Okay. Now, what he would do, he would leave for that, so he says, and he would go to McDonald's again, okay, and get another cup of coffee. His clock is still running, okay. Now he's staying there about half an hour. Then he shoot over to the Walmart, and he go in there and shop. Yes, he would shop, and then when he got what he wanted, he come out, and he would pull his magazine out of his book bag, and he'd run around, put several magazines on the cars. Okay. After he did that, he got in his car and he rode up to visit a friend of his. Okay, and then he was there about 1 hour, 2 hours. His clock was still running. See, his time clock. Now he did that about 1 o'clock. About 1 o'clock. Then he would go to what's that chicken place called? Kentucky Fried Chicken or Popeyes, one or the other. He would go to that, and he would have his chicken, and he'd stay there maybe an hour, eating, drinking, whatever, and he'd have his literature in there with him. He would be reading it and stuff like that. And then when he finally got through with his chicken, well, he'd go out into his car, but before he got into the car, he walked around and put some tracks on the cars that were there, and he put up about 8, 9, I don't know how many cars are there. He put one piece of literature, Wake or Watchtower or whatever. He put something on into each car's window. Okay. Then after he was through doing that, he started his car up, and then he'd take another ride. What does he have to do now? Oh, I got to go to Pep Boys. I got to buy some windshield wipers for his car. So he would ride up to the Pep Boys and get the wipers. Okay, and he'd come out, and he'd put them on himself. Okay, and then after he was done that, and don't remember now, his time clock is still running. His time clock is still running. Okay, now we got about 2 or 3 o'clock. And then after about 2 or 3 o'clock, he heads home. Okay, he heads home. He pulls into the driveway. He looks at his watch, and it says 4:30. He says, well, what I'll do now, I'll go into the house, and when I get in there, I'll cut my time clock off. So he would go into the house, have a cup of coffee. Then he would cut the time clock off. Now he would look at his watch and say, well, I got in around 8 hours throughout the day. Okay. Now he did that for I don't know how long. I don't know how long he did that. But he was getting so many hours in, and they wanted to make him an elder at one time. Until somebody started suspecting something and said, wait a minute, I don't never see this brother out with nobody else. How's he getting all this time in? Okay. They were talking about making him an elder, and because he did answer questions and carried the microphones and had the privilege of cleaning bathrooms and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about. And finally, an elder got wind of what he was doing. And he came down on him. And but he had did that for about 2 years. About 2 years he did that. And I don't know how many hours. And he turned in about 80, 70, 80, 90. It did depend on how he felt. Every month he would do that. See? Every month. And he became like the top dog as far as time goes. Ain't nobody put the time in he put in. See? And but we're going back to this common sense thing again. Common sense should have told the elders that this guy don't never go out with the friends. We never see him out with the friends. It's always by himself. Well, common sense would tell you there's something wrong when a man does that. There's something wrong. Common sense will tell you that he would want to take people on his study with them to show how good he was in bringing points out to the Bible study person. That's what he would have done. No, it seems to me the elders didn't even have common sense to see these things. But he got away with it, but they finally canned him, though, see. And they disfellowshipped him. Because I don't know what the charges were, but they got him for something. I don't know what they would call it, but they got him. And no one in the world can put in 70, 80, 90 hours a month, and you don't even see him. See? He could have been home sleeping with his time clock on. Okay? But every month when he turned his time in, he had all them hours on there, and he'd have all kinds of magazines on there, return visits and Bible studies, and you name it. He got away with it for 2 years, I think it was. But like I said, they finally canned him. So the elders did not use common sense to get this person. But like I said, common sense eventually reveals everyone. You know, my favorite book in the Bible is the common sense book, and that is Ecclesiastes. To me, that is the common sense book. That book tells you everything. It don't tell you nothing about a college or a Harvard thinking or nothing like that. It's all down to earth common sense. Okay? So I'm going to leave you for now until we meet again. Remember, use common sense on everything you do in life. Common sense is good for the soul. Thank you.